Yeah, yeah, yeah. So many lies that you hear from the net, they don't get her respect. She reporting the truth, not a check. You want an unbiased opinion straight from the chest, not a bit of accomplice or someone here for a check. Tune in, these are thoughts from a lawyer on a mission who goes so hard it's like she works on commission. Trolls in the comments might say she tripping cause they lack the knowledge, they don't know they missing. Got a couple current events that you like, wanna know about law from the eyes. Tired of all these blogs running lies because their agendas are disguised. Tune in to the intellect, cause I'm sure y'all missing all the facts of the case that she steady is gifting. Someone here for the people, man, it's so uplifting. If you ain't subscribed yet, then you just omitting facts.
Hello, everyone. It is Pam Esquire, also known as your law intellect. Happy Monday. It's a happy Monday for a lot of us. It is a happy Monday for a lot of us. I hope you guys saw the thumbnail. And while you were looking at the thumbnail, you hit that like button and you subscribe to the channel if you're new over here. Well, we have an update. I am excited to announce that Julie McKnight has responded to this default judgment. What are you talking about, Pam? I'm glad you asked. Watch the previous video for the entirety of this whole saga, but Brian McKnight did a video. And when he did the video, he was smoking a cigar and he's just bragging, talking about he got $8.8 million because the court said that you can't go around defaming my name. And you guys heard the video. And so we didn't really know who he was talking about. We were like, is he talking about Jaguar? Because he sued her too in a few different states. Who is he talking about? And then he played a voice message from his ex-wife, Julie McKnight, of which he called her a liar. I want you to listen to the voice of a liar, I think is what he said. Don't quote me. I'm just paraphrasing. And so a lot of people were just wondering, what is he talking about? What is he talking about? So, I had to go dig, because one thing that I do, which a lot of people can't stand, especially in this public figure realm, is that I'm going to go find the documents and I'm going to see what you're talking about. And when I looked it up, we went over the entire complaint, of which Brian McKnight did sue his ex-wife for defamation based on a book that she just published in January of 2025. Now, in this conversation, when we were talking about this book, I told you all, I'm like, this man has been trending way prior to this book. And if you are a member, we went over a lawsuit, and I may do it out here, I don't know, depends, on a few years back, where his daughter sued him for making a statement alleging that there was some type of incestuous, I guess, relationship with the cousin or something. And so she sued him. They ended up settling. This is according to him in an article. They settled, I think it was over 300 and something $1,000. But when you read the lawsuit, it seemingly stemmed from one of his sons coming out and speaking about him. And she came out and she spoke about her dad, but she never mentioned his name because she didn't tell people. The only people that knew she was Brian McKnight's daughter, according to her, are the people in her circle. And she said once she came out and she talked about her relationship with her father, or lack thereof, there was a response of which Brian McKnight kind of acknowledged who she was. That was kind of how everyone knew what it was, and came out with this allegation. And so they went back and forth and they settled. And I think he said something about, in the article, again, it's according to the article, because the settlement agreements, typically we don't know anything about them. They're usually confidential. But he made the statement of he never lied. He said that basically she if he lied, she would have wanted a retraction and a public apology, and she didn't want that, and he never admitted liability, which is commonplace for settlements. And so that was that. And I don't know, I don't follow her. I didn't even follow this when it happened because that was a few years ago. And so there's been a lot of different situations that we've seen online related to him. So when I seen the allegation about the book, I was like, that's interesting because I didn't even know she had a book, and I heard a whole lot of things. So that was online. So even just recently, he's just having a bad week. So even just recently, we saw this, of which this university apparently he was supposed to sing, and they were like, we're going to revisit this. So the university put out this statement saying they value and respect the perspectives of our constituents and stakeholders. We take your concerns regarding the artist for the scholarship gala seriously and are currently exploring options. Thank you for your loyal and continued support as we work to ensure this event is a beacon of light to our institution while raising needed funds to support student scholarship. And that's from Dr. Dwayne Warmack, the president. And it seems like he wants to blame, well, I'm not going to say seems like because he filed a lawsuit of which he blames some of his backlash and his issues that he's had with procuring venues. He named major venues that don't want to be bothered with him anymore, Detroit being one of them. Shout out to the three, the one and the three. And a lot of the big promoters that do not want to have him come and to perform. And so when Miss McKnight came out with this book, apparently in January, she went on various platforms and she talked about it. And she talked about, from what I saw, what she alleges is her experience. I haven't read the book, but I probably will now. So it was, she probably got a little uptick in the sales too when this came out. And so in the book, she talked about, from what I saw in his lawsuit, experiences that she is alleging of emotional type of abuse that she says she's experienced during her relationship. She didn't say his name, but she did infer it was her ex-husband, and this is her ex-husband. And you guys know if you guys saw the video. If not, when we get off of here, go ahead and watch that video. Well, when he filed this lawsuit, he served her, and we went over everything. He served the lawsuit on an address, and it was a FedEx, and you had to sign for the FedEx. The FedEx signature looked like it was two initials. So it had J, I think, and M, maybe, on there. I would assume that's what it would be. And so that was served allegedly, and you'll see why I say allegedly. And that was that. And what happened is, after there was not a response within the requisite time that you have to respond, Brian McKnight's attorney filed a default. After the default was entered, he filed a motion for judgment of default, which is basically you go in and you ask the court to basically order that default. And in this case, according to the docket that we went over, there was a judgment. There was, I think, in August-ish, September-ish, around that time, there was a default judgment that was entered. However, as it pertained to the particulars of the judgment, it was held under advisement. So we didn't see an actual order on the docket of the $8 million. So I just assumed that perhaps that was something that was sent to them via email or something, to the attorney, and it wasn't on the docket. If that occurred, that would be the way that it would have occurred. Maybe there was some communications of which was not on the docket. The actual order for the judgment, I didn't see that on the docket either. However, again, I did see where a hearing took place and it looks like one was entered, but it just didn't have specifics, and the court was reserving the right for the specifics. And so we felt like a lot of the headlines turned into he had a premature celebration. And the premature celebration is because you didn't even see the judgment on the docket, and it looks like the judge was still pondering it. And I said, well, oftentimes, I'm not going to say all the time, when some people don't want to participate in lawsuits, but oftentimes what will happen is that you will file a motion to set aside the defaults. It's not, there is rules for it in every state. There is case law supporting it in every state because there may be you may have good cause as to why you did not respond. All right. You guys caught up? Hit the like button, okay? Hit the like button. And so I've been watching that docket like a hawk. I was like, I said it, Jude, sis. I don't know you, sis, but sis, I wonder if you're gonna respond. You think you're gonna respond? And on this morning, we had a filing that hit the docket. I don't know if she did it this morning or she did it last week. I don't know. We don't care. She has responded. She has responded. And so we are going to go over that here response. Well, let me check out some of your comments. You said a scheme Todd set up. Can you be arrested for falsifying a proof of service, or is it become a civil matter? Well, you have to prove that it was falsified. Do we got some ring cams? Do we have anything that can support that? Elite Leo said he has a majority woman fan base and he got online trolling the kids with his first wife and didn't think about his reputation. I didn't even know she had a book. My opinion of him. That's what the argument was, Elite Leo, was a lot of us, respectfully, I just kind of started following Mrs. McKnight because all of this happened. She is a singer in her own right. And what was very interesting is that in my chat under that video, I don't know who the person was, but I was waiting on the people to windmill for the whole David E. Taylor because their minds, their mind is still going through some things. Pray for those people over there at that church. But when I saw someone actually sticking up for Brian McKnight, I was like, and so I'm going to say what the comment was because I went over that in my membership. But essentially, the comment was saying that Brian McKnight took care of the family. He worked super hard. Julie and her family have talent, but they've never met the caliber of the McKnights. And he took care of all of her family and their family, and he's gonna win the lawsuit because he can prove that he's taking care of the family and da da da. And I just responded like, did you read the lawsuit? Do you know how to prove defamation? What are we talking about? Whether he took care of them or didn't take care of them and all. What are we saying right now? So the person was like, I don't know anything about defamation and I don't know anything about this, but I'm very close to the family and I was there. I was present and I saw that she was well taken care of and those kids were well taken care of and he worked so hard and she was basically just never reached the caliber of him. But what I will say, and Julie McKnight is on Instagram and she does work, okay? She's singing. She has some videos of her singing and she has a nice voice as well. And it just seemed like a self-serving comment. So I hope whoever it is, Brian McKnight's cousin, or whoever you are, I hope whoever the person is will watch this like live and learn. Look at my video for its totality. I can respect people wanting to stick up for folks and all of that, but at least know what the allegations are before you come trying to windmill for somebody without any wind. Okay, I'm gonna need you to at least have some wind beneath your wing when you start windmilling. All right, that's all I ask. Um, LKD Cutie said, I wish I could testify for his ex-wife. I knew nothing of this book, but everything I know about his dastardly deeds. Dastard, dastardly, bastardly. What were you trying to say? Deeds is from Brian himself. And that's what all of us was saying. I was like, respectfully, if she went around promoting this book and going on platforms, honey, it did not reach my algorithm because I had no clue that this book existed. All of this was before the son passed on, rest his soul. And the changing the name to Brian McKnight Jr. and it was just shenanigans. And the shenanigans go back years before, like 2-3 years before this freaking book. So I wasn't getting it. It's like, what are we doing here? So he did do an affidavit, if you guys watched that video, where he talked about, again, big venues don't want to hire him. Apparently he has some deals that were going on in other countries. I think he's in another country now. He has some other deals going on in another country and they pulled out. So he's calculating all of the money he would have made, and he's like trying to, I guess, blame her for that. But anyway, y'all, let's pull this up. I think I did a good enough intro. Y'all better know what's going on at this point. So Miss McKnight on to this morning at approximately 9 o'clock. I don't even know. Maybe that's just when it was filed and stamped. But anyway, in the last couple of days, she said, now comes the defendant, Julie McKnight, pursuant to Rule 55D and Rule 60D of North Carolina Rules of Civil Procedure, and respectfully moves this honorable court to set aside the judgment entered in the above captioned matter and to permit defendant to file an answer to the plaintiff's complaint. In support of this motion, defendant shows the court the following. The plaintiff filed a complaint on or about May 8th, 2025. The defendant, as required by law, was not personally served with paperwork. The proof of service on file is fraudulent. The defendant did not sign the proof of service on file with court. The defendant does not live at, nor was she present at the address on the proof of service on the alleged date of service. Furthermore, the defendant had no prior knowledge of the pending legal action until after the judgment was entered. As a result, defendant was deprived of the opportunity to respond to the complaint or participate in the proceedings in a meaningful way. Wherefore, defendant respectfully prays the courts as follows: that the judgment entered against the defendant on May 8th, 2025 be set aside. Set aside. She wants to start back at 1. That's what she's telling the court. 1, you're like a dream come true. 2, just wanna be with you. Whenever I believe my work is done, then we'll start back at 1. Okay. Number 2, that the defendant be granted leave to file the attached answer instantaneous, and that the court grant such other further release as it deems just and proper. And that is what was submitted today. Hold on, I ain't see no answer though. Hold on one second. Let's double check and make sure. Hold on. Let me see. Is that all she did? I don't know why I'm whispering. No, that's all that was attached. I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay. And so, as you all can see from this here document, Julie McKnight is in for the fight. Julie McKnight said, "You will not just get no default judgments on me without a fight." And so we support all of this over here. Shout out to Julie McKnight for not just lying down and taking it. Okay, so I am Lucinda Moore says, so Brian McKnight lied to get a verdict, manipulation as this. I don't know. This is allegations. She said it was fraudulent. Let's read that again. Now comes defendant Julie McKnight, pursuant to Rule 55D and Rule 60D of the North Carolina Rules of Civil Procedure, and respectfully moves this honorable court to set aside the judgment entered in the above captioned matter and to permit defendant to file an answer to the plaintiff's complaint. In support of this motion, defendant shows the court the following. The plaintiff filed a complaint on or about May 8, 2025. The defendant, as required by law, was not personally served with paperwork. The proof of service on file is fraudulent. The defendant did not sign the proof of service on file with court. The defendant does not live at, nor was she present at, the address on the proof of service on alleged date of service. Furthermore, the defendant had no prior knowledge of the pending legal action until after the judgment was entered, probably after Mr. Brian McKnight felt it was necessary to go online and basically say, nah, 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 nah. And so she probably looked around until she figured out what he was talking about. But I'm just speculating. As a result, defendant was deprived of the opportunity to respond to the complaint or participate in the proceedings in a meaningful way. Wherefore, defendant respectfully praise the court as follows: that the judgment entered against the defendant on May 8, 2025 be set aside, that the defendant be granted leave to file the attached answer instanter, and that the court grant such other further relief as it deems just and proper. And this was respectfully submitted on this here day, the 27th of 2025. And what is also interesting though is the Jaguar Wright case. I know about Jaguar, but he filed a lawsuit against Jaguar Wright, and I believe it was allegations when she was saying things about what allegedly was done to his wife, and or how he treated his wife or something of that nature. And I I think it's just interesting that he's filed it in different states. So I found one in Nevada. I found one in, let me pull this up because I want y'all to think I'm joking here. So y'all be careful out here. That's what I'm saying. Let me, hold up. Let me pull this up. Brian, I think Brian McKnight has a whole file now. Yep, Brian, you made it to the file. You made it to the Rolodex, bro. That means I'm going to follow this case. That's what that means. All right, so let's see. Brian and Jaguar. Let's see. Oh, shucks. I jack that up. Let's see. Brian McKnight. So I don't even know if I went over any of Jaguar's cases. I don't remember. So this one. This one was filed April 29th of 2025. That is in Nevada. Brian McKnight versus Jacqueline Wright. All right. Miss Wright verbally stated in various video recordings that were published to various social media platforms that Mr. McKnight was physically abusive to Miss McKnight and others. So yeah, I knew it was something that had to do with the wife, but I just couldn't remember. Miss Wright continued the false and defamatory statements in an effort to regain a positive image in the public's eye. My. Mr. McKnight's reputation and career suffer as a result of Miss Wright's false and defamatory statement. So, hold on. So that was one. And then I was just perusing, minding my own business. And then I saw, hold on. What? Let me stop. You said Brian McKnight gonna have one last cry. I'm not doing this with y'all. I'm not doing it. Brian McKnight versus Jacqueline Wright in individuals dose 1 through 10. This is the United States District Court in Arizona and was filed on May 1st, 2025. This defamation action arises from numerous videos posted on various social media platforms by defendant Jacqueline Wright under the name Jaguar Wright. In the videos, Miss McKnight claimed that she is the cousin of plaintiff Brian McKnight's ex-wife. I didn't know that. Miss Julie McKnight. Additionally, Miss Wright made statements that Mr. McKnight had been abusive to not only prostitutes, oh my, but to his wife, Miss Julie McKnight. Prostitute he had beaten up that my cousin caught him with just before that, and how he beat her up for catching him with that chick. And that, quote, he was a piece of shit father and he was an even worse husband. So that's what Jaguar Wright said. You know, she ain't got no kind of chill whatsoever. Okay. And then I see this one. I said, well, how many cases do we have here? I'm just saying. This one right here is in California. Yeah. No. Is this the one? No, that ain't it. Hold on 1 second, guys. And then it was one in California. Okay. I'm trying to understand why you filing these complaints all over this here. And then when you look at him, he's trying to do alternative service, saying I can't find her. So alternative service means you're trying to put it in a paper, like a newspaper, and basically serve her in alternative ways. You know how many people ain't gonna look at these papers? I mean, come on. So this one says this was actually dismissing the case. Plaintiff Brian McKnight moves for an order further extending the time to serve defendant Jacqueline Wright, also known as Jaguar Wright. The court ordered plaintiff to show cause why the action should not be dismissed pursuant to the Federal Rules of Civil Procedures 4M for failure to serve defendant within the extended time allotted for service. Plaintiff filed a response. The court deems the motion appropriate for a decision without oral arguments and vacates the hearing set. So they had a hearing for October 20th. And the court was like, nah, we don't even need to do all that. We'll just do it on the pleadings. Having considered plaintiff's motion in response to the court's order, the court dismisses the action for failure to timely serve the summons and the complaints. So plaintiff initiated this case on April 30th of 2025, over 5 months ago. On July 31st, 2025, more than 90 days from the filing of the complaint, plaintiff had not completed service on defendant, and the court ordered plaintiff to show cause why the action should not be dismissed for lack of prosecution. In a response, plaintiff described unsuccessful attempts at service of process and asserted that good cause existed not to dismiss the action. Plaintiff also moved for an order permitting him to serve defendant by publication. The court denied the motion for service of process by publication due to plaintiff's failure to demonstrate reasonable diligence in attempting service on defendant and for plaintiff's failure to offer independent evidentiary support for the existence of a cause of action. So typically, when you are trying to do alternative service because you have attempted to serve someone at their address and they won't answer the door or they go hide or whatever the reasons are because they know you coming, then you have to at least have a process server that is going to say over oath, typically, I'm not going to say this is the only method, but you have a process server ordinarily say, I tried to attempt to serve this person on January 1st. Knocked on the door, they didn't answer. I heard she was going to be at the Kmart. I don't even know if Kmart still even exists. I heard they was going to be at Walmart because we don't support Target. So I heard it was going to be at Walmart, and I waited in the parking lot, and she never went to work that day. This is my affidavit. Then on Friday, I waited at the kids' daycare, and apparently they're not picking up their babies today. But this is all the ways that I tried to serve. I've pursued this with reasonable diligence, and it doesn't matter what I do. I can't serve this person. So then you ask for posting on the door, meaning you tape it at their last known address or publication or something of that matter. So I'm saying all of this to say, this whole service of process thing, and those that followed me with the whole Whitehead situation, one of Whitehead's, like, that was, I'm not gonna bring him up. I'm gonna stay focused. So anyway, that is a third one, basically looking as if those are the same allegations. Oh, let me make sure. Let me read what if they put the allegations on here. If they just talking about, they might just talk about the process of service. They just said he hasn't. No, they just discussed that. Plaintiff has not established good cause since the complaint was filed on April 30th. Plaintiff had more than 4 months to serve the defendant. Plaintiff has already received one 30-day extension of the service deadline on the court's own motion. Despite this extension, plaintiff did not serve the defendant, let alone make effective use of the additional month to complete service. So it's dismissed without prejudice, meaning he can bring it back. But honey, there are other cases that he filed against her. And I just want to know, I wonder how that's going to affect, if any way, these cases against Jaguar Wright. You said Jaguar was just live the other day. You said she got a warrant One more question, Carl. I didn't think Brian had money like that to be filing all over the U.S. Doesn't he have to have a lawyer in each state he files in? It's the same lawyer. He's using the same lawyer from what I see. But also, again, there was a lawsuit that was filed, and this is what perplexed me. I was like, let's not do this. We're not gonna do this. So I'm gonna pull up. Hold on. Hold up. Let me hold up. I don't know why it's doing this. Okay, there we go. Are you guys hitting that like button? Because I'm just showing you guys all the shenanigans. Hmm. What's the name of this? Okay, let's pull up Brianna. We're going to pull up Brianna. We got a little bit of time today. And so back in 2020, as in 5 years ago, before this book was published, plaintiff Brianna McKnight is and was at all times mentioned because she's from Arizona, where she maintains her permanent address, blah, blah, blah. Brianna is the daughter of Brian McKnight, who is a well-known singer. Although the daughter of a celebrity, Brianna did not publicize or draw public attention to the identity of her father until the defendant maliciously defamed the plaintiff on social media. As alleged hereinafter, the public was not aware that Brianna was the defendant's daughter. The defendant's wrongful action toward Brianna took place while she was a minor and were directed at her in Arizona, where she resided at the time. Okay, hold on. Let me get to the facts. After the plaintiff was born, so this is the daughter Brianna, the defendant and his then wife, who is not Brianna's mother, so I'm assuming it's Julie McKnight, had two sons named Nico and BJ before they divorced, in 2003. Brianna developed a fond relationship with Nico and BJ, which she maintained over the years. During the years prior to the defamatory publication by the defendant, alleged hereinafter, Brianna's relationship with the defendant went through various phases. At times, their relationship was cordial, and at times it became strained or all but non existent until the defendant's acts alleged hereinafter. However, the relationship between the parties, whether positive or rocky, was conducted out of the public eye, and it was not the subject of media coverage. Brianna never publicized the identity of her father or his celebrity status. By 2015, the defendant had little contact with Brianna. She does not recall seeing him in 2016. In 2017, Brianna and the defendant were in sporadic touch. Their conduct and the nature of their relationship or lack of a relationship was not publicized or otherwise in the public eye. In 2018, Brianna reached out in a confidential way to the defendant's second wife, and to the defendant's manager in an effort to establish a bond with the defendant. The defendant dismissed Brianna's efforts to bond with him and did not see or meaningfully communicate with her. None of those facts were publicized or otherwise in the public eye. On August 10th, 2019, all of this years before January 2025 of this book. On August 10th, 2019, without input or prompting from Brianna, who had not been in contact with the defendant for an extended period of time, The defendant posted an entry on his Instagram page regarding his pride in the work ethic of his current wife's son, Jack. Shortly thereafter, the defendant's son, BJ McKnight, who was himself not a public figure, posted an entry on his own personal Instagram page accusing the defendant of abandoning his children. Brianna did not prompt BJ's post and had no input into it. BJ's post did not identify Brianna. On August 15, 2019, Brianna was still a minor. As of that time, the public was not aware that Brianna was the defendant's daughter. The media did not cover her relationship or lack of a relationship with her father, and she had not drawn attention to the fact that she was the defendant's daughter. Only her inner circle of friends knew who her father was. The identity of Brianna's father and or her father's parenting of her had never been the concern or subject of any public controversy or attention. On August 15, 2019, Brianna decided to share aspects of her perception of growing up with an unnamed, absent father on her personal Instagram page. That post did not mention the defendant by name, did not describe him as a celebrity, did not refer to his profession, and provided no identifying information about the defendant. In that post, she simply described her personal feelings as the daughter of an unnamed father who had withdrawn from her. The crux of her post was summarized in the last lines. Some teenage girls who deal with this ish constantly who can relate to me and tell her side of the story and know that she's not alone. Brianna's Instagram page had no commercial purpose. Brianna did not advertise, publicize, or otherwise alert the media or public to her father's identity in connection with the Instagram entry. Her post was not part of any larger dialogue. Brianna's post of August 15, 2019 was unrelated to the subjects of sex or romance at all. She had never posted on the subject of sex. She had never sought or received public attention related to the subject of sex. Her private life or absence of a private life were not matters of public concern. The defendant read Brianna's post of August 15, 2019, and even though that post did not identify him by name or otherwise, it incurred or increased his hatred, ill will, and anger toward her. In his hatred, ill will, and anger, he resolved to use his fame to widely circulate a vicious lie to cause Brianna to suffer humiliation, emotional distress, and damage to her reputation. In addition, or in the alternative, the defendant sought to preserve his image among his fans who drove his income stream by publicly stating that Brianna was a promiscuous and incestuous minor, and thereby, he hoped, undermining Brianna's credibility regarding a post that did not even identify him. Prior to August 16, 2019, Brianna, who was a minor attending high school at the time, was not a public figure. She had achieved no general fame, no notoriety, no involvement in the affairs of society, and no prominence of any kind in the resolution of public question. On August 16, 2019, the day after Brianna's post, the defendant, who had a few 100,000 followers at the time and who was able to attract media attention through his fame, posted a video clip regarding his sons and Brianna on his widely followed Instagram and Facebook pages. His post of the date stated, quote, "My daughter is about to turn 18. I'll get to her in a second," end quote. After speaking about his sons, the defendant falsely went on to publish the following about Brianna, quote, "And unfortunately, along the way, a couple years ago, I caught wind that there was an older cousin who was above 18 who was quite possibly having sex with her." So my thing is this. Even if it was true, because you say it's true, why is that something that you tell? She's a minor and an adult cousin allegedly was having sex with her. Why is that something to tell the public? Why would you think that was something that you share? Hit the like button, please. Subscribe to the channel. So I'm going to read a little bit more. Then I'm going to tell you the article because he did give his response. Like I said it earlier on what it was. That there was a settlement and he basically still sticks by what he said. Defendant's clip stated that he, quote, called to the state office for children's affair there in Arizona and that he never heard anything back, thus lending a veneer of apparent credibility to his outrageous lies about Brianna. Those defamatory assertions stated or implied provably false assertions of fact. In the defamatory posting, the defendant literally said that, quote, anything I say is actual and factual. Those are his words. His statement that he had reported the matter to law enforcement officials in Arizona reinforced the assertion that he was making factual representations and suggested that the underlying information was credible and true in particular. The defendant's assertion that he received information that Brianna, when a minor, had sex with an adult cousin was a false assertion of a provable fact and implies the existence of undisclosed knowledge of factual information supporting the statement that Brianna was having sex with an adult cousin when she was a minor. A reasonable person listening to the defendant's defamatory statement concerning Brianna could conclude that the published statements assert factual matters. In the alternative, in addition to the defendant's assertion that Brianna was unchaste because when a minor, she had sex with an adult cousin was defamatory and that it was a false representation of provable fact. A reasonable person listening to the defendant's defamatory statement concerning Brianna could conclude that the published statements assert factual matters. In fact, Brianna had never engaged in any sexual contact of any kind with any relative of any age while a minor or otherwise. Plaintiff is informed and believes, and based upon such information alleges that no one ever told the defendant that she had sex with a cousin or words to that effect. If something to that effect was stated, the defendant seized upon an obviously untrustworthy rumor, failed to look into its truthfulness, disregarded a probable falsity of any such rumor, and recklessly and maliciously repeated it to a large audience of his followers, knowing that the repetition would cause harm to Brianna. So that is, yeah, I'm just saying. Now you got me pulling the, like, apparently we got tunnel vision on why somebody might not be wanting to mess with you like that. I'm just saying. So let me pull up the article because he did, like I said, he responded. Hold up. This was a Rolling Stone article. And this was May 12th, 2023, 2 years before this book. Brian McKnight explains why he only claims some of his kids. Brian McKnight has caught some heat on social media. What? In 2023? I thought it all just... Brian McKnight has caught some heat on social media in the past few weeks for not acknowledging his biological kids. There's also been a narrative floating around that it's his black kids that he's not claiming while showing appreciation to his mixed stepchildren. McKnight was sued by his daughter Brianna, who says he defamed her on social media by claiming she had an affair with her older cousin when she was a minor. I don't know why we calling that an affair, because that wouldn't be a darn affair. Always prettying up these words. In a recent YouTube video, McKnight explained his family dynamic and why he doesn't speak about his other children from previous relationships. There's a very simple reason why I post about some of my children on social media and not others, McKnight said. The children I currently do not have a relationship with, I don't post about them. Instead, I post about the children whom I do have a relationship with and whom I'm proud of. In reference to the lawsuit that his daughter filed against him, McKnight says that they settled the case this year. He says Brianna sued him for defamation and breach of $1 million life insurance policy. He says he agreed to pay her $318,000 with no admission of wrongdoing and no requirements that he retract the statement. I mean, most settlements have no admission of wrongdoing. If someone said that I did something I didn't do and I won a case proving that I didn't, I demand a public apology, McKnight said. I did not defame her. I made no false statements. I don't know why y'all didn't have some type of a gag order in this settlement, because apparently he likes to talk. Because this should have never been said. Like, come on. In the end, McKnight addressed the rumors that he abandoned his children. McKnight says they were all once a happy family until money got involved. I never abandoned anyone, McKnight said. Our estrangement was mutual, but those posts made any roads towards reconciliation and acknowledging them a dead issue. And that is from one of y'all's fave, Brian McKnight. So I'm trying to understand how this book that nobody knew about is the culprit here. So anyway, if you guys just came in, Julie McKnight has responded. She is trying to get a set aside. I'm going to read it for y'all because some of you guys weren't here, and then I'm going to get off of here. All right. Shout out to Julie McKnight. Shout out to you, sis. Now comes the defendant, Julie McKnight, pursuant to Rule 55D and Rule 60D of North Carolina Rules of Civil Procedure, and respectfully moves this honorable court to set aside the judgment entered in the above captioned matter and to permit defendant to file an answer to the plaintiff's complaint. In support of this motion, defendant shows the court the following. 1. The plaintiff filed a complaint on or about May 8, 2025. 2. The defendant, as required by law, was not personally served with paperwork. 3. The proof of service on file is fraudulent. The defendant did not sign the proof of service on file with court. And 5. The defendant does not live at, nor was she present at the address on the proof of service on the alleged date of service. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about as far as the complaint, make sure when we get off of here in a few short minutes, make sure that you watch that video, hit that thumbs up over there as well. Furthermore, the defendant had no prior knowledge of the pending legal action until after the judgment was entered, which was probably when Brian McKnight decided it was a good idea to get on there and smoke that cigar and brag about winning money. As a result, defendant was deprived of the opportunity to respond to the complaint or participate in the proceedings in a meaningful way. Wherefore, the defendant respectfully prays the court to allow that the judgment entered against the defendant on May 8th be set aside. So she is asking that the court start back at 1. I did a whole little jingle early on, if you want to hear it. That the defendant be granted leave to file the attached answer, and that the court grant such other further relief it deems just and proper. And that was filed on this morning. Faith said Brian is done. Why do you say that, Faith? Forgiven said, unfortunately, many people are still supporting him. You know, that's their fave. We were listening to a playlist the other day, and Brian McKnight came on. I was like, oh, this is why I DJ my own music. Because I put on somebody else's playlist, and it's almost inevitable you are going to get a Brian McKnight if you're doing R&B. So yeah. So that's that. We have talked about this response. We have talked about Jaguar Wright. We have talked about the lawsuit that was years before with Brianna, his daughter, and we've read over the articles and stuff as well. So I'm just confused. I'm just really confused that I guess. But we shall be following this case, as you guys know, and I promised that we were going to follow it. I was watching this docket like a hawk because I said, you know what? If she responds, I want to be one of the first to talk about her response. So You said I switch his songs off. A lot of us do at this point. So anyway, y'all, let me see. Let me see what this thank you for being a member for 5 months. We did have a goal. I'm gonna need y'all to hit this goal. We supposed to have 5 super chats before we get off of here. What are y'all doing? Just listen to me with these documents. He said I'm trying to see if it's any questions that anyone has. Let me see. I remember her either filing another defamation suit or was contemplating another one. Are you talking about Brianna, his daughter? He said they were products of sin. Well, who participated in the sin though? Like, were you there or no? No? Thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate that, Paula Keys. You rock, sis. You said I knew about the book already. I'm gonna read it now. I didn't even know about it. So, but I am going to read it since I've been covering the case. Years back, I listened to his radio show. This is from Pen Pal 555. A couple of shows, and I was shocked how grimy he portrayed himself. He appeared to have a king complex, and his thoughts about women were disturbing. Really? I didn't even know that he had a radio show. Thank you, always curious. I appreciate you, said for all you do. Thank you so much, Karen Johnson. You said Brian McKnight is a disgusting and cold-hearted person. Okay. I just don't think, in my opinion, I think that Julie McKnight, if she had anything to do with it, it was very, very limited on why you not getting gigs. I just then gave a number of reasons as to what your problem is. Now, it'd be interesting to weigh your years before, because I believe on when some of those gigs were being canceled, I wonder if she is going to be able to show that those gigs were canceled prior to a lot of this stuff happening. I don't know, but we shall see. I know that. I know that we shall see. You said yes, what that is so true. What he was saying about women was terrible. Really? Jersey said default judgment was made, but he waited until the deceased. So the default judgment was entered, I want to say the August or September. So yes, it was not May. That is when the lawsuit was filed. Was in May. But when he posted this, they did say that it was on the birthday of his deceased son. And I said the same thing when I looked at the docket. I'm like, why would he choose the day to say something? I mean, I would bring all that up. I'm just saying, like, why would you choose out of all the days in the world to make this like almost like poking the bear? Just doing stuff. I think, well, you know what? Ain't no get back like God's get back. So I'm just saying, I think he has some regret. Again, it's my opinion. I'm just speculating that he has some regret and he needs somebody to get to blame. That's just how I feel. But hey, totally off topic, but hitting the super chat goes. The Ernesto court case get rescheduled. I heard, yeah, it's in February. Thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate it. We need one more super chat before we exit these premises here. Okay, I only had like 5. Okay, come on now. He appears to be devout of a conscience. I don't know, Auntie. I don't know. ATR said Brian McKnight made me miss Boys to Men in 2023 because he was there too, and I was hating since then. Well, if you guys have not heard, Brian, Boys to Men and New Edition and Tony Braxton, they'll be going into concert all next year. So you can make up for that, ATR. See how I look out for you? Yes, it is true, allegedly. Tyler Perry gave Marvin Winans $100,000. So of course, Marvin Winans, feel like, see, when the devil is busy, God blesses you. We got way more because of all of the viral moments. I mean, Tyler Perry could use a couple good looks too. Okay, he got a couple of things going on out here in the media as well. So from that perspective, I think that why not? But I think people are not accepting it in that way that maybe he probably would want them to. The way people are talking about it in the comments, I haven't seen much positive. I think that when it comes to the Black church and just money, period, I think it has a very manipulative connotation behind it, and it's done it for years. And you have to learn tithing and offering and how you benefit from it on your own, because at the end of the day, a lot of it is self-serving, in my opinion. And they get you in a position where they feel like they can talk to you like that, because you're not about to talk to me like that. You would have gave me all my money back. That's what you would have done, Bishop. Oh, okay. Wrong line. Okay. You're right. I'm in the wrong line. I should be in the line over there at Macy's. That's what thank you so much. Give me that envelope. You're right. I am in the wrong line. I'm going to take my tail over there to Macy's at the mall, and that's the line I'm about to get in. That's what I would be doing. So, but until you learn it, I don't even get frustrated with people. I think everyone has their moments. I think they have their time of which they have to come into knowledge. Well, I'm gonna say wisdom, because a lot of us have knowledge. You collect knowledge. People don't have application and they don't have wisdom. So once you collect the knowledge, you need to know when you should use it, how you should use it, and how it really benefits your life. And that's the problem that I think happens with offerings. Do we all know? Y'all know my dad's a pastor. We all know churches don't run themselves. They have lights, they have gas, they have all of that. And you are supposed to sow into the kingdom, but it's a kingdom thing. It's not a personal thing. You don't bully me into doing it. You don't tell me, I'm gonna come back 10,000 fold, but I ain't seen it in 20 years. Why haven't you seen it? Because you really don't know the principles, because it hasn't been properly taught to you. Because they don't really care if it comes back to you 100-fold. They just care if they lights and they gaskets cut on, stay on, and they not shivering in the winter, and they're not hot as heck in the summer. That's what they care about. But that's just my opinion. But hey, shout out to all them that's still giving their money like that. Silver Natural, thank you for the super chat. You said thank you for keeping we intellects well informed. Thank you so much for helping me with reaching my goal. Jersey Girl said thanks for all you do. Brian is a clown. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Is that everybody? I think so. We didn't hit an hour. I think that's enough. Make sure you guys hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Let's see if anything else happens, because we might be back. We might be back. Let's see. Yeah, we might be back, depending on if something happens. If not, I'll see you all hopefully sometime this week. I'm gonna get back to work. Val, you late. This the end of the game now. Come on, you gonna have to rewind. You got to pull that bar back now, sis. Diddy been sentenced? I think you're talking about the time that they have on there that he's expected to get out in 2028. He's gonna get out before that though. But that is what the Department of Justice has put on the site. It looks like that he's supposed to get out in 2028. So yeah, that was something that was being talked about today too. But anyway, hit that like button, okay? Subscribe to the channel. I'll see you all next time. Thank you again for the super chats. Thank you for the support, helping me to reach my goal. If you don't follow me on Instagram, pam.esq, go ahead and follow me there. Same on TikTok. Trying to build up on TikTok, because I never really paid TikTok attention, but I figured I'll start doing clips over there. So if you want to see the latest clips from all the videos, if you don't want to watch the entire video, then I try to put it on TikTok. So I'll be clipping a few parts of this video as well. But until next time, you guys have a great day. Thank you all. Talk soon.